So biggest story right now, Paul Rubens, the actor best known for portraying Pee-wee Herman. It's been announced that he died Sunday night after a private bout of cancer. He was 70 years old. He put there's a statement posted to his Instagram after his death. Quote, "Please accept my apology for not going public with what I've been facing the last 6 years. I have always felt a huge amount of love and respect from my friends, fans, and supporters. I have loved you all so much and enjoyed making art for you."
I know it's how life works. If you stick around enough, then a lot of people are just going to die around you. Yeah. I know that's how it works, but the Norm McDonald's out there,
right,
and the Gilbert Godfreys and stuff, and now Pee-wee Herman, all these guys that I've sort of watched and knew and thought about all the time. It's Bob Saget. So like, it's not. I don't like it. I'm going to come out against this.
You're anti-death. We're hearing you're not a fan of
people.
Death.
I know.
Oh yeah, you're fine with them. Yeah,
you know,
the little people. You guys,
let them go.
Lemmings, go right off the cliff.
R.I.P. bitches.
Right. Yeah, take your kids with you, but not the people I sort of watch.
Every time a comic icon dies, it's depressing on like layers because it's like, fuck, this guy meant so much to me, and then also I got to watch all my peers talk about how it meant so much to them or make up how this person was important to them or whatever. But this is a fucking hard one because not only was he like, Pee-wee had like stages in your life, right? Because if I watched Pee-wee's Playhouse not knowing about like acting and creating, you know, I was just like, oh, look, it's like a weird old man.
Yeah.
And then you get older and you're like, that dude like created that. And he's like, and then it's like adds these layers of richness to it once you become a performer and you know what that must have been. Like for 15 years of my life, he was just the guy who jerked off in a theater. And now, like, but on both sides of that, he was like an absolute comic genius who meant so much to me.
Right.
But like, we were just like, it feels crazy. Like I've had these multi-stage relationship with Pee-wee Herman throughout my life.
Yeah, the theater theory I've always had that a lot of people reject, but I kind of stand by it. I like to take a deep dive in the. I like approaching things from sort of analytic psychology approach, and I always thought, and I don't know what year the theater
91.
incident, it was in Florida.
1991. Yeah.
Got busted for basically doing an extended dance version of what you were doing with your dick during Step Brothers, just grabbing it and pinching it. He just did a little better job of it.
Yeah, I mean, if I had a famous kid show at that point, I might have gone down hard. But
I thought, I have the same thoughts. It's like when the guy goes, and I go, well, how did you catch your husband cheating? And then they go, he just told me to get his phone when he was in the den, and I took his phone. I got his phone. I started blowing up. Some chick named Nancy kept texting him, and then I looked back, and then so I texted her. It's like, did he want to get caught? Because he didn't do a very good job of not getting caught, and maybe he was in a loveless relationship and couldn't really muster the strength to say I went out, but he got out. You know, this is the way he got out.
Right.
And I always think when people do things, especially like here he is. He's an amazing artist. He's a performer. He's a Groundlings guy. And he gets buried under this Pee-wee character where he has to play a snot-nosed 11-year-old for the rest of his life. You know what I mean?
it's like a weird like Black Mirror episode. It's like a blessing and a curse.
Right. But
he's
now,
getting money, but he's trapped in the gray suit.
Right, except for now you're 41 and you don't feel like getting dressed up in the stupid thing and getting on the Schwinn. Right. Right. You don't want to do it, but there's so much money, and if you told your agent, hey, no more, they'd be like, well, we're doing a sequel, or they got a thing, we're going to do a live Vegas show or something. So you just go do this, and then you don't have to put the outfit on anymore. Now, do you know what you're doing? I don't know. But
is it a subconscious choice to be there?
Well, much like the guy who's having the affair, if that guy's mindset was, I can never let my wife find this out. I never want to get divorced. I love her. My kids are young. Like, I don't think he ever goes, go grab my phone and bring it in.
Right.
Bring it in. Yeah, you just don't.
Protective of it, yeah.
You don't do it. So I always thought there was a part of him that just wanted to get out of that character.
I think with hindsight, was it an adult theater?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So with hindsight, for me, it's like, when in Rome, like where else are you allowed to jack off?
That's what you do when
you know
you're
what I mean?
there.
Like yes, maybe it's not ideal for someone who's playing a kid, like a character on a kid show, to be doing that just for the optics of it. But if you can't jerk off in an adult theater, what the fuck are we even doing? Like, we used to have adult theaters in this country.
I think the answer is you got a VHS recorder at home.
Oh yeah, I mean, you got to build a home theater. You got Pee-wee money.
Yeah,
You got Big Top money.
Right.
Yeah. I mean, look, I didn't want to Bobby Hole Paul Reuben, but with the send off. But yeah, so that happened in 91. He pleaded no contest to the crime. He was still required to complete 75 hours of service. But if you're wondering what he was thinking, actually a rep just announced that he confirmed that Paul recently penned the first draft of his upcoming memoir. So maybe we'll get some insight into that if they release that ever. And also he's putting the finishing touches on 2 more Pee-wee movie scripts, and was developing a variety show and a Western called Fancy Pants.
At that time.
Yeah.
Well, maybe he didn't.
You mean
right before he died.
Right before he died.
Yeah, these were.
I think he'll come back to Pee-wee. I feel like at the time he wanted a little break, and he got it.
Yeah,
he got it. Yeah, but he'll be missed. Yeah.
Yeah, super talented guy.
All right.
I scream "Mad Dog" when I brush my teeth, like still every day from the movie.
Just instilled in you.
Mad Dog.
So there's an actor named Neal McDonough.
Mm-hmm.
You've seen him. He's in Band of Brothers, Minority Report.
He's been on this show.
Yeah. He was stopped and questioned by police after his house hunting efforts raised the eyebrows of a concerned local. So TMZ reported that police received a call about a man acting suspiciously earlier this week in a neighborhood in Westlake Village. And the caller reportedly feared the person was casing the area and causing trouble after observing him driving through the neighborhood, emerging from his car and knocking on doors. Mm-hmm. So it was later revealed that, Neal was just looking for houses. He was in the market, and and police let him go.
There are some people who will just go knock on your door and ask you if you want to sell your house. And I never, they think I'm going to go, hold on, let me get dressed.
Yeah.
I got to get all my shit out today.
I hadn't thought of that. Yeah, fuck it. Let's go. How much did you say? Yeah, sure. Hold on. Let me just get a box and start going. Honey, we're finally moving to Hawaii. Yeah.
Yeah, I guess that's what he was doing. But I think all white people like this, because if it was a black person, then there'd be a big brouhaha. But we'll do it to Whitey. We'll do it to anyone who looks suspicious walking around.
I think also that just goes to show you neighborhood shit too, of if you're in an actual neighborhood, someone walking around doesn't raise your neck hairs around. But if you live in Westlake Village or in someone just walking around is okay, we should call the police. What is this person doing here?
Yeah.
I live in West Hollywood. It's if you called when someone's acting suspicious, I'd have we'd have a full police presence full time.
You're in West Hollywood. Have you seen the community ambassadors and whoever they have instead of the police?
Oh, the guys they've been around forever. The fucking blue polo guys on bicycles that are allegedly helping out, but they just seem to be riding in packs of 5 up and down Santa Monica Boulevard, not doing much of anything.
They don't have guns or weapons or anything, do they?
I don't think so. No,
they just have to call the cops when shit gets out of hand.
Yeah. So, speaking of McDonough, just a reminder, he was fired from this his starring role in the show Scoundrels, for refusing to film sex scenes.
Oh, that's
he
right.
Was, really heavy Catholic and family man.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I always get Neal McDonough and Adam Morse confused. They're 2 big, stoic, gray-haired, badass guys. Right. David Morse. Sorry, not Adam Morse. I always get those 2 dudes confused, but now I know which one is which. Because David Morse fucks on camera. No, I'm just kidding. I have no idea.
So speaking of people calling the cops on others, though, did you hear that story about that woman in Alabama who faked a kidnapping?
Yeah, I did hear that.
Yeah, so she said she called 911 saying she saw a toddler running around and she went to go chase after her, and then she got kidnapped. She came back to her parents' house 2 days later and said she got kidnapped, and then it eventually came out that she fabricated the entire story and used a lot of Alabama's resources trying to find her.
Yeah.
And so a big thing on social media today is everyone's saying, well, a lot of people saying they shouldn't charge her for using the police resources, because if you charge her for that, then people calling the cops for other reasons, they don't it's the same thing.
It's a bad precedent.
Yeah, it's a bad precedent. Yeah. So they're saying, oh, well, if you charge her for doing that, then white women calling the police on black women for no reason should all they don't get charged. So why are we charging this black woman who? It's like a big racial thing on social media.
Oh, well, everything's a racial thing because she's black, right?
What was her
She's
reasoning behind? What did she?
They haven't said, but her lawyers are just saying she's going through some issues.
Yeah, well, she's clearly had like a mental health episode of some sort. If she imagined a kid,
she lied, and if you lie, or we can prove you're lying, and also there's a lot more resources if you were abducted than. Calling somebody some Karen inside of a Costco or something. It's stupid, but it's just the
if you're
way
getting the
to
SWAT team against Neal McDonough is a little different than having
It's just a way to sort of inject race into everything,
and it's happening.
Yes,
all right,
good.
Alabama's got plenty of race shit to do. We don't need to add anything
on their plate.
But if they have a Top Golf and a Spearmint Rhino,
when did the Spearmint Rhino enter the chat?
Well, the Spearmint Rhino came in when
because the points you have, your frequent flyer points with them, they travel, right? So if you go to Alabama, you're medallion status with the Spearmint.
Yeah, I'm medallion
Mr. Carolla,
loyalty member,
right this way.
You're free mimosa, sir.
We realized that they opened a Spearmint Rhino right next to our hotel in Boise, and it was right next to us. And I don't hang out at strip clubs these days, but I like when a chain says, "Look, we're going to invest some money in a town," and we feel pretty good about our return on investment.
Appreciate what it does for the economy.
Yeah, but the Spearmint Rhino, the Top Golf, and the PF Chicks.
All right. Well, speaking of strippers, ex-stripper Cardi B was in the news. So she was performing in Vegas, and she got splashed with water while performing, and she threw her microphone at the woman pretty hard.
I'm on Cardi's side.
You are? Okay, so let's watch it. There are a few different angles. So here's the first one that's going to it's a wide angle. So she gets splashed.
Oh, that was a real throw.
Yeah, just launches her microphone at this lady. Well,
the music is still playing.
By the way, her vocals are still going. But
how does it? By the way, let me just say something. If you are performing and you're a queen and you're doing Bohemian Rhapsody, then maybe you need that background thing playing. Right. But if you're just going, hey, ha, and hey, with the ha, do you really need to sing along with yourself in that particular instance? Like, let's hear her.
Let's hear the music again.
Is she singing? It's a track, obviously.
Yeah.
Is she lip syncing or is she singing over her?
I bet the mic was active. Maybe she sings over herself.
It sounds like the backing track is not the full lyrics, and it is like sort of like the layered reactions. I don't fully understand the situation.
Right.
I'm just on the side of like people need to learn how to act like they're in a fucking audience again.
Well,
I think
I agree.
Like in every instance, people forgot what being in an audience.
We have to figure out what the song was.
We do, but let's show the second angle too, because there's one. Yeah, this is from the audience perspective. Yeah, so she got nailed to the water and she's looking pissed.
Her timing was good because it was right where the lyrics went. What the fuck is wrong with you?
Yeah, she did it right when the beat dropped.
So maybe she was in on it.
So there's another video that's really great. Now this shows the audience members' reaction.
I love this one.
No, the angle 3, guys. This one, she's like, I'm so sorry.
Did she throw water?
Escort. Yeah.
All right.
So obviously this has been an issue. Like Adele did that whole speech, but don't throw stuff. People are getting cell phones and their mom's ashes thrown on stage, and they're just getting pelted. So this is an issue. But I guess earlier in the show, Cardi B encouraged people to throw water at her vagina because it was so hot.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so here's her asking for herself to be splashed.
Splash her down. Get us some water. Splash her the fuck down.
Woo, that shit feel good. Put that shit in my pussy, bitch. Come on.
Yeah, so she's encouraging it, and then somebody splashed her, and then she goes on mic and says, look, I asked for it in my pussy, not my face.
First off,
I've heard that so many times
yeah,
in my
me
life.
too.
Weird
Directionally,
thing to say, yeah.
it's hard unless you got like a super soaker. It's really hard to dictate the direction that the water flies. If
And we
she's
don't know
asking,
how far apart those were as well, also, right? Like,
Right.
Because that feels like throwing water at her pussy might have been a few songs earlier. And then you're ready to just wrap your show up. You don't need people throwing drinks.
I think it's
at-
one of her song names, actually. But so she could be charged with battery.
Cardi.
Yeah.
All right. Here's my whole point with this story. Besides the stupid background, whatever. Fuck, can't people just do their own show? Or by the way, don't become an artist then if you can't. But my synopses or my philosophical thought on women all the time, and I've said this for 25 years. No fucking microphone is they're much more violent than men are. They don't cause the destruction that men cause, but they're much more violent than men are, which I've always said. Anyone who's been with a woman, step back like in the kitchen, step on her foot. Step on her foot, watch how fast her fucking hand flies out and whacks you. They whack you immediately. They don't, guys slide their foot out and probably do a dude or my foot or whatever. Women's hands just go sailing from their hips. Like you step on a woman or you're just like fucking around, like, or you do something. Sometimes every once in a while you're doing and you like hit them with your elbow or something. They just whack. It's instinctive, reactionary. Like, you know, when the doctor tests your reflexes and hits you with the little rubber hammer and your shin just kicks. They just kick.
It's reactionary,
So
yeah.
you do that to a woman and the mic goes sailing at your head. You do that to a dude, and maybe they call security, or maybe they do something.
It's a reflex
but
that they have.
it's a reflex. Somebody threw water at me. I'm not going to throw this object at their head. Women are much more aggressive that way.
You
but
may be onto something because
I'm 100% on it. I've always known it. Step on a woman's foot and see how fast her fucking hand smacks you. They don't say excuse you. They just whack you.
Mm-hmm.
And we were talking earlier about men learn to regulate. Men understand too, but they also understand this microphone could fucking give someone 13 stitches in their forehead. I can't just, and I'm a man. I can't throw a microphone as hard as I want at somebody's head from 4 feet away. I could fuck them up. So we learn to kind of regulate, and then sort of like you get hit with the water and your initial thing is fuck, and then your next thing is, but I can't take a potted plant and throw it at somebody's head.
I'll be considered like angry and violent forever if I do that.
And I'm strong.
Right.
Like I could hurt this person.
Yeah, well, remember Axl Rose did that in like December. He threw his microphone out, like the way a drummer throws his drumsticks out to the
Right,
crowd. Like he threw his
right.
microphone out and nailed somebody in the face. And that person went to the hospital and he announced, okay, we're not doing that anymore. I've been doing it for decades.
And he did
No
it
more.
like for fun too,
Yeah.
not even with like
Right.
malice
Right.
or whatever.
This is vengeance.
But Cardi B, I guess, has a history. I mean, there are montages on I'll also call Twitter, but there are montages of her just like throwing her shoe, throwing microphones. Like she just instantly just throws shit.
And if you step on her foot in a kitchen, she will throw her hand at your face. Like,
Right.
I guess I'll just take this opportunity to just harp on like we need to. I'm not saying we need to be like civilized and seated and golf clapping, but I think audiences could use a like light return to like we're in a public space again. Like I don't want to be that guy, but in the movies, people are fucking like on their phones and like, and it's like you don't have to be here for this. And people at comedy shows will just talk back to you as if like that's what they're supposed to be doing, and you're like, this isn't the dynamic. Like this is not your house. We're also like home theatered out, and I also think everyone suffers from protagonist disease, and they're like, I'm the star of this show tonight about a guy going to a comedy show. It's like, no, the person on stage is the star for fucking
man.
2 minutes, and that's really hard for a lot of people to process.
We
Like,
got busted watching Oppenheimer, which is like we walked into the theater and our seats were like in the nosebleedy. Well, it was IMAX, but we were sitting in the very last row, and somebody's got to work the sight lines out, which is sitting in the last row at the IMAX with the handicap wide row, like 3 rows down below us. When you sat in our seats, you saw the back, the outline. It was like, oh God, I saw the back backlit, front lit outline of the whole row of heads.
Like Mystery Science Theater.
Mystery Science Theater, that's what I was thinking of, taking up the screen.
I hate that shit.
So there was a whole big open group of seats in front of the handicap thing. So I was like, Mike and Rudy, the guy who opens for me, I was like, well, let's just go down there. The movie's fucking starting now. We just went down there and we sat down and we're there. But the line at the concessions were so long with the fucking Barbie bitches over there that even after the movie just started, fucking somebody came in.
Hey, I'm K-17 or whatever.
Yeah,
like,
and we're
fuck.
sitting in their seat. And it's a double bad. It's a double bad because Rudy's at the end and he gets the wrong message, which is all we have to do is slide down one and we're good. So we get up. Sliding down one puts me next to a dude for 3 hours.
Yep.
So we get up and I go, Mike, you're in the middle. You're at the end now. Take that seat. I'm going to keep my seat. Slide over. Rudy, you slide over. We sit back down again and they go, no, not. You misunderstood. Like you got to go walk around and go find. So we went to the side. It's been a minute since I've been pulled out of a seat at a ball game or a theater or whatever, but we were. And then Mike fell asleep.
Yeah. So it didn't,
And that's where he ended up. Yes, women much more instinctively or immediately violent than men. But I also think a lot of that is because they don't think they can do the damage men can do. And so
Right.
they just react.
I think that might be part of it too. Yeah, and like you, if like you're a 6'2", 300-pound guy, your whole life you've been like in the way or accidentally knocking into people. So I'm super self-conscious about that. But I feel like if you're a tiny woman who's been like shoved around on a subway or something, you know what I mean, or like jammed in between two guys, Wall Street dudes' backpacks at some point, your energy is like is reactionary, and
Right.
like, carrying that shit with you forever is not ideal.
And speaking of audience members who don't really know boundaries with the performers, how much longer till we do have that chain link fence like in Roadhouse between the audience and the band?
For the blind
Well,
guitar player.
Yeah. So, started with the Blues Brothers and Chicken Wire.
Right, right.
I think Roadhouse was
Rawhide.
Chicken Wire too. And then that band and that guy's name's Jeff Healey. And Jeff Healey was a blind guitar player who played the guitar with the thing flat on his lap.
Was it lap steel? Yeah.
And he died in '08
Why? Why?
at a young age. And his big song, his big hit that was the hit that he had, not from Roadhouse, but outside of that, was a John Hyatt song that didn't crack the top 25 John Hyatt songs for me.
Like he covered a John Hyatt song.
He covered a John Hyatt song to become a hit.
Was it Angel Eyes?
Yeah. Which you've never heard me play because it didn't crack my top 50 John Hyatt songs.
He had a rare cancer of the eyes. His eyes had to be surgically removed.
Oof.
I know, but just so you know, we did a deep dive on Healy on the road
Yeah, I was just like, why do you know so much about him?
because I was sitting in a fucking green room in Portland 3 nights ago
Talking about Jeff
doing
Healey.
a Jeff Healy dive.
What?
And found out I was Canadian, found out he died at 41, found out he died in '08, and I also found out that big hit was a John Hyatt cover.
Yeah.
And then I did the announcement, which I always do, is I told Rudy, my opening guy, go walk around this fucking block 17,000 times and tell me if you'll find somebody who knows. Because he just played the Jeff Healey version. I was like, that's a Hyatt song. But no one else knows Hyatt.
Yeah.
Like me. Except for Hyatt.
We need an NYU philosophy major like Dalton to clear this all up
Yeah.
for us.
Are you excited for the remake?
Not at all. There we
Yeah.
go. If I can just quote the great Adam Carolla, the movie was made. We don't fucking need a Jake Gyllenhaal Paramount Plus TV version when we had fucking that was magic in a bottle. That movie is like dumb adjacent. It's like, and now we're just doing it again. It's like, just make another movie about bouncers. Like, it doesn't even
Right.
have, just make just change. It's frustrating to me.
Yeah.
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 Because then whenever you talk about Roadhouse going forward, like someone's going to be like, oh, did you see which one? You're like, no, the fucking good one.
Well, I don't think that happened with Red Dawn. No, I think everyone forgot about the Red Dawn remake, right?
And honestly, the Red Dawn remake, I'm a diehard the Red Dawn remake is a pretty solid, like, early aughts action movie. If it was just called like Invasion, you know what I mean? It
Right.
would be a pretty solid Chris Hemsworth action movie. But instead,
right.
because it's supposed to be like Red Dawn, you're like. Also, famously, that Red Dawn reboot, they changed all the bad guys from China to Korea in post.
Yeah.
Like, which is like a layer of racism that's really funny. It's like, just change their flag. No one will ask any follow-up questions.
Jeez.
Yeah, that is next level racism.